Disclaimer: the views and opinions expressed by the guests and hosts of this show are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of the company or the show itself.
All right, hello and great day, Explora bookworms, and welcome to our news segment, Road to London. And here in our Road to London, we talk to authors who will be featured at the London International Book Fair this, coming March 10 to 12 at Olympia, London. And, as we all know, these authors will be doing their book signing at our booth. So we invite everyone as well to come and explore the stories of our Explora book authors at the London Book Fair 2026. And Explora is proud to announce that we will be joining this prestigious event right in the middle of it. And we'll just basically get to be there, and our team will be there. The authors will be there as well. So please make sure to check our booth so you can get copies of their books. By the way, my name is Red, and I will be your host for this episode. And aside from that, I would like you guys to welcome, or let's just say, I want to say welcome to Mr. Michael Self. And he's the author of the books that we're going to be talking about today. How are you today, Mike?
I'm doing fine, thank you.
Great. Now, before we dive into your books, tell us a little about yourself.
Well, I'm an educator by training, psychologist, sociologist. Spent 22 years in the principalship, improving education for all of our children. Have lived in many states, have traveled the country, taught at the university level. And my interest in life has always been engaging people in improving their lives and in maximizing the fulfillment that they can achieve. I spent 11 years working with emotionally disturbed children in Georgia public schools, learned a great deal about the kinds of things that we should have taken care of as children, but we probably didn't. And it's made for challenging times. I think we only have to look around a little bit and see everybody's kind of negative on world issues these days. And There's a real reason for that. And so that's always been my interest. And that's my writing has kind of addressed those topics.
Oh, well, but before we, really get into know about your books, I want to ask, when did you start writing books, or, any of the books that you have right now?
Well, the three books that I have for today, I started in 2015. I've written a couple others that go back as far as 1975. I had a special education working with emotionally disturbed children book published probably in 82. So I've always enjoyed writing. I've always enjoyed learning, and then sharing that information with others.
Wow. It's been I would say that's a long journey right there of writing books. I know that because I've been trying to write a book for myself, and I don't even know how to end it right now, unfortunately. But I have a few tips from, individuals, authors,
There you go.
that. Yeah. So I bet you did a lot of research for all of your books. So let's start with So What's in It for Me. Now, this is a very interesting book. There you go, guys. So that's the book. And that is available in Amazon, right? In Barnes & Noble?
Amazon, Barnes & Noble, all the usual book outlets.
Great. Now, if you guys are interested to get copies of Mike's book, please check it out. All right. Now, Mike, you basically, I would say you argue that this book, What's in It for Me, is the question silently shaping every decision we make, right? And
Okay.
sometimes it often, or I would say, when did you first recognize that this question operating in your own life, and like how did you, or how did that realization change the way you understand authenticity?
Better hang on, Red, because here we go. Okay. This book, Jonathan Livingston Seagull.
Uh-huh.
Now, I read this book in 1970. So that's 55 years ago. And this book, after the Bible, which has been read by everybody, had the most effect on my life. It's just a little thin book. But what it is, it's a novella by Richard Bach. It is an allegory about life. And it's the story of a seagull who wants to do nothing but fly and perfect flying,
Right. Mm-hmm.
and to get as good as he can. And he's not interested in simply going out to fishing boats and grabbing chum and just eating. Those other seagulls are called the flock, a herd of buffalo, a flock of geese, the crowd that hangs together, that doesn't venture out into exploring life and what life can provide for us. So the question about seeking authenticity hit me when I was 21, 22 years old after I read this book. This book tied a lot of things together that I had been worrying about and thinking about and researching and reading and trying to figure out. I'll share one example that I share in all of the books. When I was in the 7th grade, I came home from school. And back in those days, our mothers would get together around the kitchen table and have coffee and a little cake waiting for the kids to get home. So I walked in the back door, and my mother and 3 of her friends were all sitting around the table. And they were all talking at the same time. And I asked myself, who's listening? And I think more than anything else, that describes all of us in life. And it's what I go into in great detail in all 3 of the books that I have today. Authenticity has kind of a bad name. It sounds like I'm going to be me. I'm going to be entitled me. I'm going to do what I want. And that's not what really authenticity really is. It's really about being genuine and being proactive and being rational and helping people and all the other things that go along with that. So 55 years ago is the answer to your question.
Wow. Well, I bet, everybody needs to really read your book, because they're going to learn a lot from you, from your experience, from everything that you've written in this book. But you also extended that Mark Twain's observation into the idea that each life becomes I would say, a personal story written in response to this one question. Now, if someone's listening today, pause and ask themselves, so what's in it for me? Honestly, what might that reveal about the meaning and purpose they're currently writing into their own story?
Mark Twain talked about all the things that I talk about in all my books. I didn't invent this. I didn't go out and sit on a rock and just make this stuff up. When Mark Twain was an observer of people, and he noticed that we had lots of character flaws and that we weren't always the best people. We didn't operate morally. And he wrote about it and shared about it for the purpose of getting people to understand who they were and then to maybe do something proactively about it. My contention is that the true measure of one's life is about the quality of the stories that they have to say and to share. That's what we carry with us. And every story we have is very unique and very personal. And if it's a positive story, and that's what we should all be looking for, you know, the story of raising children, the story of living with a significant other, the story of being proactive in our work and contributing to our community. Those are the stories that we ought to be and should be writing about, living about
Right.
in our daily lives. There's all kinds of studies about why people behave the way they behave. And it's not a good outcome. We behave for very selfish reasons, hence the title, So What's in It for Me? Okay. That's a question that whether people acknowledge it or not, and they don't, that each of us asks ourselves every day. We ask it in a subconscious level. We don't ask it in a rational outward level, but it comes up subconsciously. If we're supposed to go visit friends for dinner,
Right.
why do I want to do that? Well, we ask ourselves, what am I going to get out of it? Well, what I'm going to get is a feeling of belonging, connecting, and those are the things that go to the two major things that I think we're all looking for. We want to know if we belong to something. We're looking for meaning and purpose in our life. Most of us get that from our religion, and that's fine and the way it should be. But at the same time, we don't spend a lot of time really looking at ourselves and being critical, if you will. There's an effectiveness theory about how I think I come across to people has to be measured against how you think I'm coming across to you. If that view is congruent, then we're good. If it's not, then I need this work. But most folks just don't realize that. And I'll tell you why later on.
All right. All right. No problem. Well, again, readers, and for those who are watching us right now, please don't forget to check Mike's book. It's available now on Amazon and barnesandnoble.com. Mike, I was just kind of wondering for those, we can say Generation X. I think that's what they call it, or Gen Z. Sorry, my bad on that one. I was just kind of wondering if they can check you on Facebook. Do you have an Instagram, any social media account?
You know, I'm an old guy. And I computerized a school system back in the 80s. So I knew a lot about computers. But I realized I couldn't keep up with the changes. They were occurring so fast.
Right.
So I just had to say, I'm going to hang on to my flip phone and use it. But I eventually had to move out of that so I could text. I don't do social media, is what I'm trying to say. Okay. We all know there's a lot of good and then there's a lot of bad with social media. And the easiest outgrowth of that is all the conspiracy theories that get put out there, and then people have to wade through them and determine if that's true or not. I don't have other outlets, and I feel bad about that. But
it's all right.
I just don't. So I'm looking forward to coming to London to meet people face to face and sit down, have a cup of coffee, and share.
Right. That's true.
I don't know what the term for it is. Have you seen the abbreviations 𝘞𝘩𝘢? If you know, you know. Have you seen that? Has it made it up there yet? It's going all over the States. It's just the first letter of if you know, you know. And it's a Gen Z invention. And if you know how people act, you know. But if you don't know how they act, you'll never know. So there's if you know, you know, and if you don't know, you never will. And what comes out in my books, unfortunately, is that very few people in the human population know and know enough to live fulfilled lives. Lots of people think they're happy. And if they think they're happy, I wouldn't take that away from them. My tombstone is going to read, he put back more than he took. That's been my story my entire life, to help people who are looking for something, to teach and to help open the eyes of folks so they can do their own exploration. I get into that in a couple of ways.
Mhm.
Have you ever had the following experiences? You and a significant other are having a conversation, and it might be tense, but then you stop and realize you are both using the very same words, and neither one of you has an idea what the other one's talking about, and you're not getting anywhere in the conversation.
Yeah.
You ever experienced that?
Yeah.
Or have you ever been in a group of people talking? And these are all things that are in my books. Okay. So we're promoting the books as we go.
Yep.
Then you have a group of people and someone asks you a question and you start explaining the question. And then halfway through, they turn to somebody else and say, oh, did you hear that so-and-so did something? Well, what does that say? They're not listening to what we're
Yeah,
saying.
exactly.
Okay. They're just
They don't
not
care.
listening.
They don't care.
Well, it's not that they don't care. The reality is, and I wanted to get a couple of examples here.
Okay, go on.
And here's another one. You're in a conversation with people in your office, and somebody's talking, and they like to talk, and you've heard what they've had to say 100 times before, but you're not thinking about listening to what they're saying. You're thinking about what you're going to say when they quit talking. Now, does that say we're listening? Well, we may be, we may not be listening, okay?
Yeah.
And then with all the political strife, everybody wonders, well, why can't I just give you the right information, educate you, and you'll understand this view or that view? And it doesn't work that way. We can't educate each other. Our relationships, be they personal, be they community, be they worldwide, are really struggling right now because we're just not listening to each other. And there's a lot of very diverse reasons for why that is true.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. I get carried away.
I totally agree with you, Mike. Well, I've been in so many situations like that, and it's very disappointing sometimes because you were talking to someone who you think is your friend or someone that really wanted to listen to you, but at some point you will notice that their eyes, their mind, it's not totally connected to or attached to that conversation. They just want to they just basically do what they have to do, just by listening to you. And they don't want to break those words and try to understand every line that you're saying.
Well, let me give
And
you.
then after that very long questions or statements, sometimes they'll just say, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, that's so true. Uh,
And
how
then
many
they're
times
gonna
have you
say,
experienced this?
yeah, go
You're
on.
going down the sidewalk, and you see somebody you know. And you say, hey, how are you? And they say, hey, fine. And you
Yeah.
say, how are you? And they say, fine. The thing is, you don't really want them to stop and tell you how they are. It's just a greeting. How are you? Fine. How are you? Fine. Well, let me tell you what I really am. I don't want to listen to that. Okay. So it's just different ways that we communicate that just show how challenging it is. Everybody has that issue. And there's two things that I want to say to that extent that's also in these books,
Mhm.
and in particular in one that's coming out in the next couple of weeks.
Right. Actually, I'm gonna ask you a few questions about that, but yeah, go on.
Well, no,
Sorry.
go ahead. I'll
Yeah.
give you your show back to you.
Okay. Well, this is your show as well, Mike. You see. Anyway, so I also wanted to, like, since you already showed that book, um, let me ask you a few questions about that because it's really interesting. The title itself, uh, "Therefore I Am,"
Oh, okay. I think, therefore, I am probably
right?
wrong. Okay.
I think, "Therefore I Am," right? And then you
Right.
have this other book, "The Breakfast Club."
Okay. Then we have this one, which is, I started with Jonathan
Jonathan.
and how
That's
he
when you
shaped
basically,
my life. Okay.
uh-huh.
And so 55 years later, I come back and I ask the question, whatever became of Jonathan and the Breakfast Swap, the people who just are not going for authenticity, aren't concerned about meaning and purpose in their lives, whatever happened to them? And I need to define a couple of terms, okay? Um, in a fruitcake world, I don't know if you're a Jimmy Buffett fan, but Jimmy Buffett turned out to be probably the best observer of people and life that I've read or seen about in a long time. One of his songs was called Fruitcakes. And he says, the cosmic bakers took us out of the oven too soon. We are not genetically advanced enough to live like we think we're living. If we were a little bit further advanced genetically, which may take another million years to get to, we might listen to each other better. We might care for each other more. We might be more polite. We might be willing to compromise. And he says the biggest areas that we are lacking in is in relationships. We all got them. We all want them. What do we do with them? Every relationship is a struggle and a battle and a fight. And if you're blessed enough to have a really good one, you better hang on to it. You
Yeah.
know, the old saying, if you have 5 friends in a lifetime, you're very fortunate. That's the same analogy,
Yeah, exactly.
that's all you're going to get. So it's a fruitcake world. And there's a limit to how much, how well, and how adaptive we can be. And that's what, again, I talk about in all of these books.
Mm.
If you want to talk about this one for just a little bit.
Yeah.
Well,
I,
okay.
I I really wanted to ask you this question because, as far as I know, with that info or with those information that you gave me the other day, and I did my research on that as during that time, I discovered that this book explores the tension between finding meaning as an individual and as part of a, sort of like a larger community. So, how do you define the balance between pursuing personal purpose and contributing to the collective good?
In spite of what we are taught, there is no mandate anywhere that we are here for the collective good. Now, think about that. Okay. The Bible says to help others. We have the 10 Commandments, and that's about adultery and don't covet thy neighbor's
Yep.
spouse
Yep.
and throw rocks and kill people and that kind of thing. The collective good is a concept that's been created by those individuals who are farsighted enough to realize that the human species needs some base of morality. Okay. I like to say that in America, 2 political parties.
Right.
One has claimed God and does everything because God says it. And the other one claims morality, doing the right thing because it's the right thing to do, as opposed to doing an eye for an eye and the harsh things that people want to interpret when they start talking about God. So I go back to answering your question. For me, my collective good is, like I said on my tombstone, I want to put back more than I take. That's contributing to the collective good. Jonathan Livingston Seagull sought perfection, knowledge, excellence in his area,
Yep.
but he had a responsibility to then go back and teach others. That's what I do when I write. I'm trying to teach others things that they can look at to assess their own life. I can't assess their life for them. And what you see in a lot of self-help books, be an article about what's wrong with the world and why we can't do this. But in the end, I think everybody thinks, well, I've got to give some idea of how we can get out of this. So they propose, well, if you do this or sit down or take these 7 lessons or take this magic pill, we'll get along. Then you try those things and they don't work. They just don't work. I don't know that there's a way out of the mess that we're in right now.
Yeah.
I don't know that there is. The lines are pretty fairly drawn all over the world. I mean,
Yeah.
it's all
True.
over the world.
I agree.
This thing is, we all want to know we belong, we fit in, we identify with something. And for me, I identify with Jonathan Livingston Seagull. I don't identify with the flock. And I've had a very charmed life, very fortunate, great kids, great family, great marriage. I've been able to contribute back to the community. So I'm happy. Okay. One of your questions, I think, was referring to joy.
Yeah.
I had a real awakening.
Yeah. I wanted to bring that up as well because, like I said it to you, so at least you'll have the idea. But yeah, in this, we're talking about today's world. Everybody have their phones, computers. We're busy working, trying to make money, try to pay our bills, right? And at some point, we're really busy in doing all these things. We don't have a time sometimes to, basically take care of our dogs or cats or our parents, and at the same time, we are somehow missing that word joy, I call it. But how does joy play a role in our sense of purpose? And can true fulfillment exist without serving something greater than ourselves?
Yes, is the simple answer to that. I tend to look at joy as gratification.
Right.
And let me tell you how I approached that.
Mm.
When I was in my 20s and read this book and was thinking how I wanted to live my life, I wrote some things down that I said I'm going to do so that when I get to the end of my life, I've lived it the way I want to be seen as having lived it when I'm done. And one of the first things I did is I said, I'm going to wish on a star every night. That's my faith coming through. Okay. So I take a minute out and I go out and I wish on a star. That gives me joy. I'm acknowledging a higher force.
Right.
I said, I'm going to smell the roses every day. So I find something good in every day. And by and large, I've been able to do that for the last 75 years plus. The other thing I do is I take many, many vacations. MANY hyphen MINI. I take a daily vacation, sit down with a drink and relax, relieve the
Exactly.
stress,
Yeah.
and to think about the joyful things that I experienced that day. That answer is specific to every person that tries to answer it. I can't tell you how to do it. I can say you need to do it.
Right. Right.
I think you'll feel better in the end. And going back to Mark Twain and story, another thing that's in all 3 of the books is in leadership training, they tell you to sit down and think how you want your last chapter to read of the story of your life. You want to have family, you want to love your grandkids, you want to be respected. What is your last chapter? Well, if you write your last chapter first and then live that chapter, each chapter on the way to that last chapter, you'll get there. And when you get there, you'll find yourself more likely joyful, gratified, pleasant. But there's still a downside to life. There are
Right.
no guarantees that we're all going to get there and be
I
fulfilled
agree.
and
I
happy.
agree.
Okay.
You know,
So you just
that's
got to make yourself do that. You just have to make yourself do that.
Yeah, that's exactly true. Mike, I agree. Because, even like what I mentioned earlier, I've been writing my own story for quite some time now, but it it becomes a question to me on how will I end my story? Should I create a, part two, for that? But the thing is that, are they going to be interested with my, second book? So yeah, you're right. We can't really say or even guess or conclude that, hey, I'm going to make it to the 90s, or let's say after 90 years or 100 years old, something like that. No, anything can happen. So with the word joy, I would say we just have to live our life like it's the last day.
Live each day. You really, we need to try to do that. And once we get through with all the days, we'll be content. We'll
Well,
realize
yeah.
we've gotten there. We've
I
gotten
I
there.
agree. I agree. Because most of us are pretty much very busy with with our corporate jobs, with our social media phones, stuff like that, and we tend to not have time to really have fun and communicate with our neighbors, or talk with our neighbors. And
Can
sometimes,
I Bree, share
yeah,
a couple of things? Everybody wishes they were Warren Buffett. Would you agree?
yeah, uh, I bet
Okay.
I
Well,
agree.
I
I
want to
agree.
share some quotes from Warren Buffett
Okay.
that goes to exactly what you and I are talking about. Okay. So that if we admire Warren and we want to be like him, maybe we'll think about what he's got to say here and carry it with us every day. I found this to be wonderful.
Yeah, go
These are
on.
some things that somebody interviewed Warren. If you get to my age in life and nobody thinks well of you, I don't care how big your bank account is, your life's a disaster. Okay. I love every day. I mean, I tap dance to work with nothing but people that I like. He only works with people that he likes. Okay. We all need to, and this is critically important. We all need to upgrade from the golden rule to the platinum rule. The golden rule says that others treat others the way you want to be treated. Agreed? That's the golden rule. The platinum rule flips that. Do what you love, do what you love, then help others do the same. Treat others the way they want to be treated, not how we want to be treated, but treat others the way they want to be treated. Now, a guy that's got a gazillion dollars can stop and say, live each day for that day, live for love, and take care of other people. We can do that. We can
Yeah,
do that. Okay.
it's pretty simple, right? You just have to do that, and your life will be better. You will have the joy. You will definitely, and even your friends will treasure that. They will remember that, you know. And I guess that's something that we are missing at some point because of this technologies that we have right now. We tend to just focus on our phones. We tend to just focus on our social media accounts, or in their social media accounts, and communicate with others using social media like text. But it
I
doesn't feel the
read
same if it's really in person.
I have a whole chapter on pets in this book. Okay.
Okay.
A pet loves you regardless of who you are, or what you do. When you come home in a bad mood, that dog, cat, lizard, it's going to be there to love you. They don't argue with you, and you love them. We get attached to our pets. So we do a better job in our relationship with our pets than we do the significant people around
Yeah.
us. And, why is that? Well, what can we learn from our pets? I think there's a lot that we can learn from our pets. Anyway, have you heard the George Bernard Shaw poem? Uh, Jeff Goldblum will get on tonight's show and he'll recite it. After Jonathan Livingston Seagull, the poem that I'm going to share with you right now is in every one of the books that I ever write. And I'd like to read it if I can.
Yes, please.
Because it speaks to what is it that we think life is about. Friends, big house, money, best car. Is that how we measure our life? George Shaw didn't. This is the true joy of life, the being used for a purpose recognized by yourself as a mighty one, the being a force of nature instead of, like most of us, of a feverish, selfish little clod of ailments and grievances, complaining that the world will not devote itself to making you happy. Isn't that what people want? They want the world to make them happy. I'm of the opinion that my life belongs to the whole community. And as long as I live, it is my privilege to do for it whatever I can. I want to be thoroughly used up when I die, for the harder I work, the more I live. I rejoice in life for its own sake. Life is no brief candle for me. It is sort of a splendid torch, which I have got hold of for the moment. I want to make it burn as brightly as possible before I hand it off to future generations. If we could just adopt those words and reflect daily on how we're doing to that, a lot of us would be a lot happier.
Oh,
And
yeah.
again, that's kind of the recurring theme. The three books are different, but they have a build upon theme and recurring. And I would love to talk to anybody about it anytime.
Yeah, because we are basically trying to really get there to be successful, and sometimes we kind of miss that because we're measuring the word successful life in a way that, like, how many cars I have, like, do I have a Lambo right now? Do I have a mansion? We're not contented with what we have, what we can actually enjoy every day. And everybody's missing it at some point, or not everybody, but I would say few other individuals are pretty much missing that part. And I guess that's a secret of life, the
True
secret
enough.
of being successful.
True enough.
But I would like to also again encourage everyone to please visit us, Explora Books, in this upcoming London Book Fair 2026. Mike's going to be there. He'll be bringing these books. We're talking about 3 books, Mike, right?
Right.
And you can get a signature. You can get a copy for free from Mike. You can have a conversation with Mike about his books, about everything that we've talked about today. And I know I have a lot of questions for you. I know you got those questions right. Like a day or the other day, I sent it to you. I know there's quite a lot, but I guess I would wanted to just leave it to those who's gonna be visiting your booth, your book signing on that particular day, so at least they can ask you the questions directly. But I guess my very last question for you, Mike, is that what would be your message to everyone?
My message. Um,
Yes.
I don't give advice. If I give advice and you try it and it doesn't work, then I lose all credibility with you. That statement would lead into what I think people should do as a carry away. And I think all people have to do is just measure their own lives. 𝘞𝘩𝘢𝘵 is a psychiatrist in New York City. He's just recently come out with a book called The Gift of Not Belonging. And it's a wonderful book
Yeah, it's
because
a
it
very
leaves,
interesting title. It's a very interesting one.
we spend our entire lives trying to belong, but it's just as good to not belong. I put it this way, it's something that I call an aloneness paradigm. We are born alone. We die alone.
Alone. Yeah.
And the reality is we live most of our life alone. So I think people should look at their lives, determine how much of it they're living alone, and to see if in living alone, they're finding true fulfillment, meaning, purpose, payback. One of the hallmarks that I always talk with people about, every morning, you should look in the mirror and say, I like what I'm seeing, or I don't like what I'm seeing. It's a measure of our integrity. So I think people should question their integrity. But then again, a lot of, if you know, you know, and if you don't, you never will. A lot of people will look in the mirror, hey, dude, I'm cool. I'm a 10. I'm successful. And that's fine. They're not. But, we can't do anything about those people. It's the people that are searching and asking questions that we can be partners with and form relationships with and encourage each other. And here's my other thing. All I have to know is that there is at least one more person in the world that thinks the way I do. And if there is, I'm okay. That's all. Okay.
I agree, Mike. I agree. But it's I would say there's definitely someone that thinks just like you. And I could probably put myself on that at some point. Not every day, but you see, I'm pretty much satisfied with what I have in life. And I guess that's how you can find the word joy. If you are satisfied, if you are happy, with what you're getting every day, even waking up in the morning, I'm happy with that. I'm good with that already.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to complain about everything that happened to me, in the entire day in the office. I don't even really care about that. All I care about is that I'm home, I'm with my family, I'm with my son, I'm with my daughter. And tomorrow I'm going to have to leave my day again and be better than what I am today.
I wanted to say something to you, whether it get in the film or not. I appreciated in your email yesterday. I have to go now to the park with my kids. Right on. There's where your priority is, and you shared
Yeah.
it. And I was tickled to death to see you say that. So congratulations.
Yes, I always, like yesterday when I was texting you about our plans, our about this conversation that we'll be having today. I really wanted to make sure as well that they're gonna be taken care of. It's the weekend. That's the only time that I have that I can spend most of my time with them, and I really have to, So like, hey, I'll talk to you later. Gotta get the kids, they're
Gotta
playing
go
in the
take care of
park.
the kids. There
Yeah.
you go.
But
Okay.
anyway, until next time, everyone, and please keep reading, keep exploring, and keep discovering books that can possibly move you. And again, don't forget to follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and visit our website, explorabooks.com. And please, like what I mentioned earlier, I probably said this thousands of times, but yes, please check Mike's book. It's Michael Self. Or how can they find you in Amazon, Mike?
Just look up myself in Amazon, and it'll bring up several titles. Read the backs of them and see if you're intrigued, and get one.
As we all know, the book that is currently available in Amazon is just one, right? And these two are pretty much in progress, right? And when are they going to be?
The two are already available on Amazon.
Okay.
I think Therefore I Am, and So What's in It for Me. Okay.
All right.
The other book will probably have about 3 weeks.
3 weeks. So that's going to be ready, definitely, on this upcoming London book fair.
I'm bringing several copies with me to London.
All right. So there you go, guys. Please make sure to stop by and check Mike's book and booth. And please grab your favorite titles, meet the author himself, and get a personal signature to remember that moment. All right. So thank you so much again, Mike, for giving us the opportunity to do this, conversation.
Glad to do
I have so many questions in mind right now. You are really making me think of life at some point.
That's my goal. I want people to think.
Yes, but I'm enjoying our conversation, and I'm gonna throw you more questions, after this, after this particular session. Okay.
All righty.
All right. Thanks a lot again for watching us today, and goodbye.